Hi everyone, welcome back. In episode 2 of my Resin Crafting for Dummies, I'm going to talk about how to measure and mix resin and also do a demo of me making some resin pieces. You'll get to see me mix pigments and embed things in resin. Since I'll be making some resin pieces for the demo, let's talk about the different molds you can use for resin crafting. The best molds for resin are ones made out of silicone, polypropylene, and high-low density polyethylene. Cured resin will not stick to these materials, so you can easily pop them out of the mold. Now, there are many silicone resin molds on the market today, but you can even use silicone candy molds, ice cube molds, and baking molds. Just make sure once you use them for resin, don't use it again for food. For plastic molds, these have a translucent hazy finish to it, commonly used in food storage containers like Tupperwares. Now I do want to mention to avoid using the clear chocolate molds made of PET plastics. Resin sticks to these type of plastics, so demolding your resin pieces is going to be impossible unless you destroy the mold. Now I also want to share this tip with you guys. Store your resin hardener in these condiment squeeze bottles. They're going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to pouring and measuring your parts. The fine tips on these will allow you to have great control with the amount of liquid you're dispensing. These are very inexpensive. You can get them at any discount stores, including dollar stores. I bought mine from Daiso. Alright, now let's get on with the measuring. If you are measuring by volume, you'll need graduated mixing cups like these. I'm using the 1 ounce disposable version. I definitely recommend marking your exact amount that you will need on the cup because it's really hard to see. You can use separate cups for each part, or you can use the same cup and mark your measurements for both parts. When pouring the parts out, the liquid is going to concave. Take the measurement from the bottom of the concave, also known as meniscus, from eye level for proper and accurate measuring. So I'll be using a 2:1 ratio resin. My resin is 2:1 ratio by volume, but it can also be measured by weight with a different ratio. And the weight ratio is 100 to 43. Since measuring by volume is pretty simple and self-explanatory, I'll show you how to measure it by weight. Now before we move on, I do want to note that usually resin has a minimum total amount that needs to be mixed for proper curing. Rarely brands will let consumers know of this information, so to be on the safe side, if you are trying resin for the first time or trying a new brand of resin, I recommend mixing a total amount of 1 fluid ounce. Then after that, you can play around and see how low of an amount you can stretch it before it affects the curing. For my resin, half fluid ounce still seems to be okay. Alright, so for measuring by weight, you'll need a small scale. You can get one from Amazon for under $10. First, you place the mixing cup on the scale and zero out the scale. Pour the hardener first. Once you have a weight value of the hardener, use the 100 to 43 ratio to do basic algebra calculation to figure out the value of the resin. Make sure to zero out the scale before measuring the resin. In my case, I poured 0.15 ounce of hardener and 0.35 ounce of resin. Now, as soon as you start mixing, the mixture is going to get streaky and cloudy. You want to mix it until the mixture is crystal clear with no trace of streaks. Make sure to scrape the sides of the cup and scrape the resin off the stir stick as you mix it. These plastic spatulas are great for this task. Now, to ensure proper mixing, I recommend what I call the double cup mixing method. This is where you pour the mixture in a brand new cup, scraping everything off the cup and the stir stick, and stir again. This way there are no unmixed parts. As you can see, my resin here is crystal clear with no streaks. It is properly mixed. Now usually if I have a lot of bubbles in the resin, I let the mixture rest for about 5 minutes to allow the bigger bubbles to rise to the surface so I can use my lighter or torch to pop them. Here I'm removing specks of loose glitter from the mold using some masking tape. The best way to clean your mold is to use soap and water, but sometimes these pesky glitter can be difficult to remove completely, so the tape method is very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to pour a thin layer of clear resin in one of the flower molds and the heart mold, since I'll be embedding stickers and glitter. For these two, I'm going to build the resin pieces from the front to back. So that means the front of the piece is going to be the bottom of the mold, whereas for the second flower, I'm going to build it from back to front. This way, you guys can see different ways to build your resin pieces. Since I'll be building the second flower back to front, I'm going to color the resin for the backing. To color the resin, I'm using resin pigments made for resin, but you can use a variety of colorants. Just make sure it has no water in it, since water can inhibit the curing. So you can use powder pigments such as makeup, pearl-X powder, chalk pastels, powdered food colorings. You can use oil-based colorants such as oil paints and oil-based food coloring. And you can also use alcohol-based colorants such as ink. As mentioned in my first video of this series, some people do use acrylic paint to color their resin, but remember it's water-based, so use it with discretion. Make sure to check out my first video for more details. Here I'm running my scriber tool along the edges of the mold to move any trapped bubbles. If you don't do this step, these bubbles will turn into unsightly holes along the surface of your piece. Then run a lighter along the surface of the resin to pop any bubbles. Just be careful not to overdo it because number one, you can burn your resin. Number two, you can cause the resin to fuse to the silicone mold. And three, you can melt the plastic molds. Now time to embed some stickers and confetti. Here I'm using plastic stickers, but if you are using paper stickers, make sure to seal them with a medium such as Mod Podge to avoid resin staining them. I have a great video on how I seal my paper stickers. I'll post it up top and down in the description box. To embed the stickers, make sure you do it in a way where you don't trap air bubbles underneath. So the best way to do this is to dip the bottom of the sticker first and work your way up. And push the sticker all the way down to the bottom of the mold. And if there aren't any bubbles trapped underneath, you can use your stir stick to push the bubbles out. Here I'm embedding some large round iridescent confetti in the heart mold. Okay, now I'm going to allow the resin to gel and get thick so that I can do a nice glitter layer behind the stickers. This way the glitter won't sink to the bottom and will give a nice dimensional look. So depending on the brand of resin, the wait time will vary. So I'll just show you how it should look like. The perfect stage is when you touch the resin with your scriber tool or a toothpick. The resin should be sticky enough where it strings when you pull it. This can take anywhere between an hour to a few hours depending on the brand of resin. So it's good to keep checking. Here I'm sprinkling in some micro marbles and large iridescent glitter. And for this one, I'm sprinkling in some hollow glitter. Now we wait for this to cure to a tack-free stage, which can range from 6 to 24 hours. Now we're going to move on to the second layer of resin. For this one, I'm going to do a clear layer to embed stickers and some candy sprinkles. And for the other two, I'm going to be coloring the resin for the backing. For the heart mold, I'm going to use Pearl X powder pigment to color and give a shimmer effect. So I did a video a long time ago on how to properly mix pigments into your resin, so check it out. I'll put a link up top and under the description box. But basically, you mix in the powder pigment into a small amount of resin before mixing it into your main batch to ensure that there are no clumps of pigments. This method works great if your resin's viscosity is on the thicker side. As you can see, the flower pieces are matte because the mold has a matte finish. So if I had used a shiny mold, the pieces would have come out shiny. But no worries, we are going to dome the surface with resin so they will be nice and shiny. But that will be in the third episode. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And if you are new, welcome. Please consider subscribing. And just a reminder to everyone to please make sure to have the notification bell on so you are notified every time I post new videos. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!